this evening, where he again pledged to leave the EU on the 31st of October and said he would rather be dead in a ditch than ask for another extension. MPs will be asked to vote again on Monday on whether or not there should be a general election. Labour says it wants to rule out a no-deal Brexit first. Our political editor, Laura Kuesnssberg, is in Wakefield tonight. Laura.
You should be in Brussels negotiating.
Yes, we have been negotiating.
You are not. You are in Morley, in Leeds.
He attracts trouble. Moments after he arrived on this Yorkshire High Street, the Prime Minister taken to task.
Well, you're playing games.
What I think people want us to do is to leave the European Union on October 31st.
Know that.
Well, that's fantastic. That's what we're going to do.
Boris Johnson divides.
He knows this.
He's
been speaking for the last...
Searching for support in the crowd that fast emerged.
Do you think we should get out on October the 31st?
But just weeks into his time in office, he's been defeated in Parliament, thrown out some of his MPs. Even his brother quit as a minister in government to spend less time with his family.
And it's been an honour to be MP for Orpington and a minister under 3 governments. But it's time to move on, and I've got to get to work.
Not much more work as an MP now. Joe Johnson was on a completely different side in the Brexit argument, but had resolved to work for his brother in government. Not anymore. Citing concerns over the Prime Minister's approach, he wrote on Twitter, "In recent weeks, I've been torn between family loyalty and the national interest. It's an unresolvable tension. Time for others to take on my roles as MP and Minister. Over and out."
Your brother has quit this afternoon, saying you're not acting in the national interest. Would you say to that? You must be concerned.
I want to thank Joe very much for everything that he's done. He's been a fantastic minister for science and for the universities. And I think that we certainly haven't seen eye to eye for a long time about the UK and the European Union, but on a huge domestic agenda, I think he's done a fantastic job. Of course, I'm very sad to see the loss of Joe and indeed of people who have lost the whip in the last few days.
But that was your decision. You might be acting ruthlessly, but for some people it's reckless.
Well, I think what people want to see us is us getting on and delivering Brexit, and that's what we're going to do. And it's very, very important to get it done.
You're stuck, aren't you? Because Parliament won't allow you to leave without a deal. They won't right now allow you to get the election that you so desire. You're stuck.
Well, I have to say, I do think it is absolutely unbelievable that the leader of the opposition is currently refusing to have an election. I don't think ever in democratic history has a leader of the opposition refused to have an election.
How will you make it? I think
what he should do,
because you're stuck.
What he should do is allow the people to decide. I think people want to come out on October the 31st. That's what they voted for. And I think it's quite incredible that they're now being told that they can't have a say.
But here is, how will you bring this country together when what you're doing is throwing people out of your party and trying to force people into an election many people don't want?
The only way to do it is to get Brexit done on October the 31st and take the country forward. Nice to meet you.
Get Brexit done, mate. He stirred up most of the people he met here today in support of Brexit, it seemed. But could he take everyone with him? Forget about that. It's easy to see why the Tories are tempted. In this part of the world, they can smell opportunity if the election comes.
Some of these areas here where we've got a Conservative presence now, they were strong Leave areas.
Wakefield's Labour right now, but the leader of the Tories on the council reckons the PM's ruthless approach might work.
Do you think being so ruthless, though, might put some voters off?
It's going the other way, though. Actually, people want to see that. I don't know if you call it ruthless, but I think they want to see a decisive Prime Minister. It's Yorkshire. They like that direct approach.
Well, I want an election. I just don't want an election on his terms.
Labour activists don't want their leader to go for a ballot too early.
It's not that I want the Tory government to stay in, or I don't want an election, or I'm worried about an election. It just feels like it's been pushed through on somebody else's agenda.
I want to see him fail on the 31st of October. I want to see that the promises were all false. There was no detail to the negotiations, and he comes away empty-handed. There's got to be an election. It's just a question of time.
Please leave my town.
I will very soon.
Labour MPs right now are keeping him dangling.
We're up for a general election. I want to get rid of this government as soon as possible because I'm really worried about what they're doing to the future of our economy and the future of our country. But it is about timing, and our prime objectives, and we put it in our last manifesto, is we want to prevent a no-deal Brexit because of the damage it could do to the country and the economy.
On Monday, the Prime Minister will try again to get Parliament to back an election. But the plain fact is, he does not have it in his power to get to the ballot box alone.
Well, let's talk to Laura in Wakefield now. And Boris Johnson's brother has resigned. He's quit politics. How much of an impact do you think that will have on him?
Well, I think it's personal, but of course it's also deeply, deeply political. And if you like, it's a really intense symbol of the massive challenge that Boris Johnson has got all around him now. He's dead set on an election. He's made that clear time and time again. But Parliament is right now standing in his way and standing pretty firm, although that could change very quickly. But there's also really deep unease in the Conservative Party. There's no question about that. One cabinet minister told me yesterday, we are snookered, stuck. And there's deep anxiety about the kind of approach that Downing Street has been taken in recent days. Whether or not their decisiveness, which seemed to go down well with many Conservatives, was pleasing at the start of his time in office, has now turned into something that is damaging the party potentially very seriously. In the last couple of minutes, Nick Hurd, who's been a government minister for many years, has announced that he too will stand down at the next general election. And while Boris Johnson's ardent supporters, and we heard from some of them here in Yorkshire today, they're desperate for him to get on and deliver Brexit, the cost of doing that is already provoking serious turmoil inside his party and also a lot of anxiety amongst many sections of the public. He might think that a general election is the way out of this, but that's absolutely not a general election he could predict to have a successful result for him.
Our political editor Laura Kuesnssberg in Wakefield, thank you.